What's good, everybody? For the first time, I'm actually going to be pulling up in-game footage to, bring more to light with a lot of the things I say in my videos, especially the ones where I just like yap. I'm out here to, give you guys my own takes, my own bits and pieces of knowledge on how to actually like win a lot more games in Street Fighter 6. And what actually like are the common mistakes I see here and there between players that are like from 1300 up before we reach to the 1500s, because I decided to group if I decide to do a different video like the 1500s to 1600 group, I'll do that for a different video. But I get common questions between players of like this MR category of like how do I actually like rank up, what are tips that I could provide for them and stuff. And I just decided like out of the whim today, like I'll just pull up a random match of someone I don't even know and review that footage, and even go behind the player control to actually like show you guys how to actually fix some of the common mistakes that I see and stuff, but for the most part, just gotta make sure, yeah, I'm recording. I always have to be sure because sometimes I forget. I'm gonna just let this play out for the first round, right? And all I'm gonna say right now is like you can immediately see like this Ken's getting matched up pretty bad. And there's already so many things in which I could see myself turning around immediately. That was good, bro. It's always good to have that confirmed. And there we go, right? So there was a lot of things, and I would say even some of the players that are even like around the 1500 and 1600 range should already know like some of the basic things that are that were there that easily this Ken player could have took advantage of, but of course like a lot of the time with these MR ranges and their skill level, they're still not even like 100% knowledgeable on like some of the basic punishes between some of the other characters. And there was a few situations there in which this Ken could have actually managed to be in a better position to maintain some of the control that he barely got. But when he did end up taking back his turn, like he didn't optimize for a better situation. And I'm gonna go into more with this round alone on for one. Just starting off too, right? Like let's look at this, right? Raw drive rush from the start from the Sagat, and then as you can see here, the Ken with a standing light kick, which immediately this could have gone way better in Ken's favor. And this is something that I'm actually really good at myself, because even like players that are like way above this MR range and in skill level period, like they'll do random raw drive rushes at round start. And there's been so many games in where I've literally been able to like bully players, because in this situation you can literally just have people run into your punches essentially, right? And I'm gonna show you what I mean, right? But I also noticed too that let me show you guys, right? Watch this. It doesn't even connect. Like the standing medium punch doesn't even connect all the way. So you could literally, if you knew he was gonna throw this button, right, get a punish counter out of that, right? But even then, you can stop this way beforehand too. Like Oh, I mean, medium punch doesn't work, but watch this. Crouching medium kick. You can even delay the standing light kick, which is something that actually would have... I think that's what he was trying to do. He pressed it way too early, because watch me... If I were to press this early, I would be in the same situation that he was, right? The exact same situation. Or even sweep, if you were really quick with it, right? But there's so many ways in which you could have just stopped that too, right? But the one I usually go for is just standing heavy punch, right? Because already you're in a better Oki situation right there, right? And you could even take things further too. Hold up. Now you're in the corner. So that's already like the first thing, and we're not even like more than a second past like you know, the entirety of the match too, right? So let me show you guys the other thing too, right? With the grab and stuff, and that's something that you just kind of have to guess, because sometimes even in those situations and where it's still Sagat's turn or any opponent's turn, right? And they'll sometimes stay in place to try to get a grab in, or they'll do what this Sagat did, which was the right guess for him, and walk back for a whiffed grab, right? Which is why you have to think about whether or not you want to gamble the grab, or you choose to even press buttons even when you're minus. But that's something that I wouldn't really advise too much to do, because you'd have to, well, for one, it's important to establish whether or not you know, how does the opponent proceed with their offense, you know, like what does their offense look like? Because some players, if you let them, you know, get enough space, then they're gonna try to steamroll you all the way, you know. And that's something that you have to identify with, you know, right at the start, or as soon as you can, you know, because there are players that will take advantage of the fact that you're gonna, you know, stay in place, thinking that they are the type of player to try to bait your reversals and stuff. Because a lot of players will do that. But if the opponent is recognizing that you're gonna stand in place and try to not fall for like that mind game, then they're just gonna continue pressing forward, and then you're gonna end up losing, you know, just like this right here. Even though the Sagat made the right choice here, and at this point it would have been better just to, you know, get a reversal going on, some kind, you know, because at this point, from my perspective, I'm already thinking like, yeah, he's just gonna try to steamroll me all the way, and then boom, I'm already out, you know. And even with the other thing too, right? He gets grabbed, and then this situation right here, I blocked that, and I even though in that situation, if like, you know, if the opponent sees that I block the overhead and stuff, they're gonna be blocking, but it's still your turn back, you know, like, and I'm at a range in where crouching medium kick will beat out a lot of what Sagat has, because of the fact that that's I'm spaced out far enough to throw that button from most of his lights, and I have enough frame advantage where like his medium pokes and heavy pokes won't hit me first, you know. So what's after this? The grab. The DI was not supposed to come out there. Like this right here is what I wanted to take a look at. Right. So if I remember right, that should be like the overhead follow-up for Sagat's Jinrai should be like -5 at most. Let me check to make sure. Right, so there was so many things that the Ken could have done if he knew about that punish. I could have even took the cornerback too, and it's still my turn. But you know what I did at the start was still viable. Like this is viable because I continue pressure. This is more guaranteed, and I can still continue pressure. And I already shown you guys this, right? Boom, right? You guys get the idea though, right? That already could have changed so much for the Ken player. But he didn't either know or, well, I mean, from my assumption is he did not know that that was punishable. But you know, I've shown you guys that I could have put Ken in a way better situation, and that was because of the fact that I know that, you know, the overhead follow-up when blocked is -5, and it's not like I'm not in burnout either, so it was a guaranteed punish. And if I were to be on the other side of where Sagat is, and he would be in the corner, you know, he's vulnerable to being put in a burnout situation. And in this game, if you play really smart, then you can take the whole round, even despite the fact that Sagat's at full health, and I'm, you know, less than, you know, a quarter of the way to death. What was here? This DI was good. And honestly, like when the opponent is in burnout, in these MR ranges, you don't have to worry about players throwing out a button and hit confirming it into a super. So you're kind of free to throw in like DIs like he did. And what he went for here was okay. But there, in my opinion, I would have not gone for the meaty overhead setup because of how much of a disadvantage I am in this situation, just health wise. So let me show you guys what would have been better. Or actually, let me just do the whole thing, right? Where is it? There we go. Boom, and he whiffed the parry too, so easy 20% right there. But I'm already put in a better situation here. And then at this point is where I could actually start to play neutral again, or try to see if he'll like throw out a reversal of any kind. But you know, there's still a chance to like make those guesses, you know, even though I still am in a disadvantage. But that doesn't mean that, you know, the game's over yet, you know what I mean? So let's just move on forward from here. And even then, like, even though I have to be mindful of the super meter, I could have really, if I wanted to gamble it, tested his reactions to see if you know, the DI would hit or not, and put him into stun. This was good. I like that a lot. That could have been a punish counter grab. Me personally, I would have gone for a DP there because I did work on my anti-airs. But what he did was, I can't really knock him too much for it, because from time to time I still have the habit of getting a parry anti-air, but I am DPing a lot more now. And the only thing I could say about that in particular, hold on, let me see. Right, this is what I usually tend to do. Hold on, reset battle. That's interesting, actually. Hold up, I think the input was already buffered in, so I have to, hold up, let me see if I can, there we go. Hold up, I don't know what's happening right now. Right, I gotta, the reason why I went for that is because medium Jinrai in the corner sets up for a guaranteed safe jump, so I'm still able to get you know, some kind of offense going on that's a lot more safer versus me just throwing a or getting the grab, right? Which won't really even do much damage anyways, but it's still risky there, because as you can see here, Sagat still has a chance to throw out any reversal of his choosing, and then as we see, Sagat made the right choice, right? And that's something that you have to be mindful of too, especially when you yourself, if you were Ken in this situation, like, you know the opponent is gonna be, especially in these ranges where players are a lot more impulsive, they are more actively impulsive, right? So when they see that, they're going for the throat when they see that low health, you know, even if like they know, or actually they don't know, they don't even realize that it makes them more vulnerable to run into, like what I call it, running into the punches a lot more, just by being a lot more impulsively aggressive, you know. And for all of that, what I talked about already is why the first round went the way it did, and I've already shown you guys what could have changed to where Ken could have had a chance to live, you know. There was a lot of things that even ones I didn't even talk about yet, but I'm gonna slowly work you guys through that, right, as we move into the next round. I'm gonna let this one play out too, just to remind myself where we're at. That was good damage and stuff. Trying to bait the reversal. It wasn't bad, he just mistimed the or misspaced the standing heavy kick. So right, good reversal. But I will say this, and this is something that people might not agree with me, but in my opinion, right, I think in those situations, especially where he was and stuff, right, that like throwing out that reversal, right, I actually think it would have been better for Ken, or actually I'm not even looking at the meter, but in most situations, I'll say this, I think it's better to use your actual super meter versus using the actual drive meter too. But in this case, Ken could afford to spend that, right, because he's like damn near like 5 bars ahead of where Sagat is, who's a bit less than a bar left of meter left. But let's say you're in the situation and where now you are like you both are even, right? Like in my head, I'm trying to be ahead of my opponent with my meter as much as I can, because being in burnout for any player is damn near a death sentence against the right character and player, right? You know, against players and characters that can really take advantage of you know, the burnout situation, if, you know, you put your opponent in that, right? And it's just something that I always have in the back of my head, because against a lot of these characters like Aki and stuff, you know, it's really risky to be put into these pseudo infinite block strains. And let's say you don't have any supers to counter that, right? There's a lot of times where you're put into checkmate situations because you now have no resources to, you know, fight back anything that the opponent's going to throw out, right? And even though I just said, like, you know, like, you need these resources to matter, but I'm telling you guys to use your super meter, but never being in that position from the start is a whole lot better, you know? And doing as much as you can to avoid that is, in my opinion, a lot more important. So that's why, like, in a lot of these situations, like, let's say if Ken was to be down, like, right here in meter, right? Like, let's say he only had 3 bars. If he were to throw out the reversal, he would be at a bar 2, right? All it takes is for God to be, you know, back into neutral, have him, like, go for a meaty, or go for a tiger knee and make him plus again, and then start, you know, chipping down that meter, because Ken would be at like a bar left, right? So both are pretty even at that point. I'm hoping you guys could see what I'm talking about, right? Like, it would have been better if Ken just used at least a level 1, right? Because then Sagat would be put back in the corner, and then Ken would still have, you know, a meter advantage over Sagat, right? But that's just my own take on it. But in this situation, Ken could afford to, you know, spend that, because he's still at least like damn near 3 bars ahead. But just keep that in mind, like, if you are, you know, a lot lower in meter, like less than half, if you have a super to throw out, I would opt to use that instead. Now let's check out his burnout. And there is once again a situation in where if Ken had not stopped, he could have blocked this. And then I usually would go for, even though that actually would have not been good, actually. But the idea still stands there, right? And take the game from there, right? There's just so many things I can see, right? That easily could have been turned around, you know? Just from my eyes, coming from a Ken player, you know? This was good. And then this right here is something that bothers me a lot too, because this right here, right, let me show you guys, this was game. This was game right here. And actually looking at it now, I don't know if level 2 actually could have killed there. Let me actually see that. Hold on. Just out of my own curiosity, right? No, but look at this, right? Let's say Sagat would block that instead, right? It would still be a situation in where I could you know, chipped him instead if I wanted to gamble that, kept at least 1 bar meter, and take the round 2, right? But those are things that I don't want you guys to really worry about now. because right now you guys need to worry about, you know, doing things that are a lot more guaranteed, like the first thing I showed you with getting the guaranteed kill right here, right? And even there, this was already guaranteed just by doing that alone, right? You didn't even have to go in for the jumping heavy kick, the neutral one. But instead, of course, we see what happens here. I don't know if he actually, I think I can look at the input history, show display. It didn't look like, what is that? Oh my god, look at those inputs. No, he just went for a DP, I think. Yeah, he didn't even try to go for a super. That's a damn shame, honestly. But as you can see that, you know, if I were to summarize everything that kind of that went wrong with this game for the Ken player, like there was a lot of failure to for one, stop the offense from the Sagat player, which there was a lot of openings that Ken could have, you know, both read and honestly get a guaranteed punish out of, you know, if he was, you know, aware of like these situations, you know. But that's just something that comes down to, you know, how dedicated are you wanting to be, how dedicated you want to be into studying up like the frame data and all that, because that's also another thing that I noticed with these players in these ranges is that they're still limited on even like the matchup knowledge in a number sense, and this is something I've even noticed with people offline that I've talked to, you know. And that's just something that you guys have to do on your own time too, right? But also a failure to have an answer in when you are put into these situations and where you're just getting like you know, kind of bull ran through, you know. I mean it's always a risk in this game because there are players that will opt to bait out a lot of your reversals most of the time, and that's where the real mind game comes with Street Fighter 6 conditioning and all that. I mean that's with any fighting game too, you know, but in 6 specifically, like these decisions hold a lot more weight, which is what makes this game a very high mental stat game, you know. You have to, you know, be the smarter player. It means a lot more in this game. And the best advice I can give you guys there is like be good at pattern recognition, you know. Be really good, and you have to be good to where like you're able to decipher a lot of information from just like the first 10 seconds of the match, you know. And even 10 seconds might be a lot, you know, a lot of time, you know, because if you're like this Sagat player, just like from round start, like I've shown you guys, this already should be a lot, you know, right there. All of this right here, it probably like was, how long was that? Definitely was not more than 10 seconds from my general guess. But this should already let you know that this Sagat player is going to be trying to run at you like an angry bull, you know. So you have to then start to throw out your own you know, options with defense, like throwing out reversals and stuff. And in neutral, like I've already talked before about it, like, you know, make him run into your punches too, because a lot of people don't even do that with the the players that I play against in my like skill level. I still find players that are susceptible even to that, you know. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to give you guys at the moment and stuff. This is actually a lot more fun than I thought it would be, you know, to actually like pick pieces apart of like what's going on within the game. Because it's something I just don't think about unless the footage is right there in front of me, you know. But like I said, if you guys want me to like, if you guys are other Ken players and stuff, I don't know how good I'd be. I guess you could like, if you play any other character, like any other Shoto for the matter of fact, like Akuma, Ryu, I would say even Terry, maybe even definitely Sagat. I'm down to like you know, pick apart everything that goes on and like, you know, help expose some things that will help you like learn, you know, and get you gamed up on like, you know, what went wrong here, how could you improve on it, and what are things to look for the next time you're in this matchup, or if you go against this player, you know. So, you know, that's pretty much all I got for now. Oh my god, look at the time. Yeah, I don't got time for any of this right now, so I'm gonna end things off right here. And I hope y'all get a lot from this video, because I feel like I went enough in depth for you guys to get a lot of the things I'm saying too. But feel free to ask any questions down below, you know. So this is Infinite 47. I'll be seeing y'all around. Peace.